Welcome to Scottland Football Magazine, a dynamic sports show that's dedicated to exploring the heart and soul of Scottland Football Club. Each week we take viewers behind the scenes as we explore everything that is to do with the club, from the players, the coaches, the executive and the fans that make this beloved institution in the world of football. Last week we got to talk to the club chairman, Mr. Twenderesa Kupwanya, as he was talking about the vision of the club, where they began and where they want to end. And in this week's episode, we get a chance to talk to the club CEO, Mr. Ronald Moyo. So he's going to be sharing with us his sentiments and where he wishes to see the club go in the following years. Mr. CEO, it's such a pleasure to have you sit down with us, to have your sentiments, to talk about Scottland Football Club and your journey from the time you came here and where we want to go with the club.
Okay, thank you very much, 3KTV, for this great opportunity. For us to interact with our fans who happen to be the key stakeholders of the game. So we really appreciate this space. And
before we talk about your role here at Scottland Football Club, let's talk about the man that is Ronald Moyo. You have quite an impressive CV, coming from Bantu Rovers, going to Highlanders and now Scotland. You did media yourself. Was it always an idea that you'd end up doing football?
Before I studied my media studies degree that you just highlighted. Yeah. I've always been a passionate football person from as young as I can remember. So I thought that I was going to play football because when you're growing up as a child and you're playing football, you've got people that inspire you a lot. So I thought I was going to be a football player myself. But it's then when you grow up then that you realize that you're not that talented. You're passionate, but you're not that talented. So then I chose to focus, on the academic side. But fate will have it that I will end up, in football, doing something that I like. So you've already mentioned that I was with Bantu Rovers. That was my first, I think that was my first, time getting involved in football administration. As a media and communications officer for Bantu Rovers. That was back in 2017. So I enjoyed the experience. Fortunately, the following year, I had to join Highlanders Football Club in the same capacity. A position that I held up to 2021, October 2021, before I then transitioned to become the CEO of the club.
Now you take on one of the most exciting clubs, that is Scotland. That transition from one of the biggest clubs in terms of history, Highlanders, to Scotland, a new and exciting club. How has that transition been so far for you?
Most people think that I left Highlanders and came directly to Scotland FC. So when I left Highlanders, I didn't join Scotland FC. I wanted to join Feto Communications, a media company, where I became their CEO. That was after I've decided not to renew my contract with Highlanders. That was March 2023, March 2024 rather. So for me, that is very important for people to understand that I didn't transition straight to Scotland FC. So I went to Feto Communications. Why did I leave Highlanders and go to Feto Communications? I felt I had almost done everything for Highlanders. So I wanted, the club to bring in new ideas, to bring in new people. That was point number one. Then the second point is that all my professional, life, has been in football. In as much as football is a business itself, I felt that there are certain, basic corporate fundamentals that are still lacking in our football. So I wanted, an environment where I can be groomed in that aspect. So hence my decision to join Feto Communications. Yes, so then after Feto Communications, having worked with, the club president himself briefly, and the chairman mainly, when we secured the Better Brand sponsorship. So when they started this project, I naturally became interested in the project. Little did I know that at the end of the day, they will end up, identifying me as, the suitable candidate to come and drive their vision.
As the CEO now of Scottland, what do you think, or what do you want Scottland to be identified as? What's the brand that moves with Scottland?
I think from the way how we've positioned ourselves as a brand, you can see that we are a club that wants to be known for excellence, passion for excellence, community engagement, because we want to have that social impact, not only in terms of winning trophies, but also to develop the infrastructure in the communities, and also to have that social impact in terms of, there are a lot of social ills that, that we talk about each and every day, drug abuse, amongst our youth and so forth. So that's the social impact that we want to have. Ours is not only a story of achieving, sporting success on the pitch, but we also want to have, social impact. Of course, this is driven by the club president, Honorable Scott Sakwanya's vision himself, where he wants to have an impact, in the communities, in the society. We've seen what he has been doing for the communities, especially the youths. So that then becomes the leading vision, where then the vision of the club automatically falls under.
And then we're also looking into the commitment that Scotland has to Mavuku, the clinics that the club is building, also looking into youth development as part of the vision. Do you feel that the club has already started moving in that direction so that it may fulfill the vision and the mandate as coming also from the president?
If we are to be fair on, to Scottland FC as a club, we were only established in 2023, and we were involved in professional football last year, 2024, 2025. We are just 3 months into the Premier Soccer League. And some of the projects were, it's just started just a few months ago. We're talking about the clinic. The clinic is already there. The people of Mavuku. I mentioned Mavuku because Mavuku is the heartbeat of Scottland FC. So I want people to understand that. Saying Mavuku is the heartbeat of Scotland FC, that's where the club is coming from. But I also need to emphasize that we are not limiting ourselves to Mavuku. We are a national project that will eventually become a regional and probably a continental project, according to the vision that we have. But I have to emphasize that the heartbeat of this club is Mavuku. I think it's something, we're not reinventing the wheel. It's something that is very common in football. Talk of Liverpool Football Club, for instance. Their heart and soul is in, Merseyside. Manchester United, it's in Manchester. That's football. You will grow, probably globally, but we need to understand where we are coming from. So that's why I'm saying what you are seeing in Mavuku is actually a sign of the commitment that we have as a club in terms of having that social, impact. But again, to also say that in terms of our social impact, we are not only limiting ourselves to Mavuku, but Mavuku then becomes the first priority because that's where, our heart and soul is.
Okay. Still talking to the CEO of the club, Mr. Ronald Moyo, talking about the heartbeat of the club, but not limiting themselves only to Mavuku. They want to go regional, continental, and maybe international. We're going to go on a break, and we come back and look at more stories that the CEO has to give. Welcome back. We are still in conversation with the club's CEO, Mr. Ronald Moyo. And before the break, we were talking about the vision and being a club that has its heartbeat in Mavuku. But now we want to focus more on the business side, or rather the business side of football. Now, you are well known as the club of many firsts, the gallant of stars that Scotland offers. Does it come with a lot of pressure that you have the likes of Kamabili at Msona, Ronald Fumbizai coming in your club, and you setting that precedence for many of these clubs to follow?
The first person that, if you look at our squad, the first person probably whom we should understand and give all the support that it deserves because of the pressure that comes with managing, such a squad is the coach. So why am I saying so? When you bring in Kama Billiard, you bring in Oltam Sona, you bring in Linoth Chikua, the Mtogobs themselves, the Peter Mtuas, together, fans or people, expect that you should be winning each and every match, which unfortunately it's not realistic. In football, no matter how strong your team is, you should always understand that you are still playing for 3 results: a win, a draw, and a lose. So it's not we are not the first club in the world to have what is viewed as a galaxy of stars. We've seen clubs such as Real Madrid, the Galacticos, they were assembled, but they didn't achieve what people actually anticipated, right? So that's football for you. But it's an interesting challenge, or it's interesting pressure for the coach. It's an interesting headache, because we are talking about quality. We've got quality, not only for the coach, but for us as administrators as well, because bringing in those names, it brings a lot of excitement. It adds a lot of value to the brand, right? For instance, if you look at the number of crowds that we're actually attracting, in our matches, that can only be attributed to the players that we have. Because at the end of the day, that's what the fans are interested in. The quality of players, the quality of football. Never mind that we'll lose matches. We lost our match against Ngezi. But the quality of football that the fans are watching, because you've managed to recruit the best talent, it will then, it will naturally bring fans into the stadium. Once you bring fans into the stadium, it becomes even easier to then reactivate the business side of football, because other stakeholders, particularly your sponsors, your partners, then they become excited. Because for sponsors, it's all about the bums on the seat, the numbers, in the stadium. So for us, it's pressure, but it's sweet pressure at the end of the day.
Okay. And then recently we talked to the club president, and he talked about finishing the season maybe 5th. And he said, if we go on to win it, then that's hallelujah. And then maybe definitely next season, that's when you start challenging for titles. Does that ease the pressure on executives, even the manager, and even you as well?
That's our objective for this season, to finish at least in the top 5. But we're a disruptive club. We brought in people who are very, very ambitious to align with the vision of the president himself. Our president is a very ambitious person. So we're saying realistically we want to finish in the top 5, right? But that does not mean that we'll then relax and say we want to finish in the top 5. Realistically, we're saying we're a new club, we're just coming in, we're still learning the ropes, but we are ambitious. We want to win the championship, right? I believe the coach also wants to win the championship, because it's not only good for the club, it's good for his CV. The players want to win the championship as well. It's good for their CVs. The reason why I'm saying so is I don't want people to misinterpret the president's sentiments to say we are targeting the top 5, where then people believe that people are relaxed because they are targeting number 5. We are being realistic. It's a very, very competitive league. We are going to put 100% of our effort. If we win the championship, for us that would be a bonus, which is something that we desire, that everyone in this club desire. But we are just being realistic. The top 5 that we are predicting for ourselves, or that we want to that we are targeting, is not informed by the amount of energy that we're actually putting in, right? It's informed by the competitive nature of the league. Respect all the clubs that we are competing with. Even if you check, I think this season clubs, they did quite a good job in terms of recruitment. Probably thanks to Scottland FC, every club started reacting, and they recruited good quality players. So that position or that target is actually informed by the nature of the competition. Where we are sitting down, let's say realistically, with all these clubs, where can we finish? What is our starting point as we move forward? Because obviously next year we'll be targeting the championship. Yes, we are not apologetic about that.
When you came from the Northern Region Soccer League, you had a rivalry with Moss Football Club, and almost everyone now wants to understand what the next match day is like. Do you feel Scotland will take credit for reinventing, or reigniting the fire that was once dead in football fans in Zimbabwe?
I think if the football community is to be fair, I think Scotland Football Club should be given the credit that we deserve. We brought the excitement in football. I'll just give you a simple example in terms of go and check the previous years, particularly soon after COVID-19, when the government opened up to say we can now play football, when they started accepting fans back into the stadiums after COVID-19. Go and check the statistics here in Harare. Maybe from that period, that I think that was 2021, between that period and now, probably only 2 or 3 matches attracted more than 5,000 fans into the stadium. And one of them, obviously, I think it's Cape United Dynamos. I think sometime last year but one, right? But all these other matches, I think they were averaging 4,000 fans into the stadium. So which means fans had lost interest in football. Here comes Scotland FC. Mm-hmm. So far we've played 3 matches. 2 matches have been played on Friday. It's a working day, right? We have managed to at least attract close to 8,000 fans, for 2 home matches that we played on Fridays. Then the biggest crowd so far, Cape United versus Scotland, close to 11,000 fans. So you can actually see the impact that Scotland FC has had, for in Zimbabwean football in terms of attracting fans back into the stadium. Not only fans, the challenge is that when we want to look at the club's impact in football, we tend to focus on the results on the pitch and obviously the fans. But look at the number of corporates who are want to be associated with Scotland FC. That on its own, I think for me, it's a sign that there is something that Scotland FC, that we as Scotland FC are definitely doing right.
Disruptive in nature as their vision. They're talking about 8,000 fans on a Friday where it's a working day, but they've managed to reach those numbers, which means they do have the following. We're going to go on a break and we come back and look at more stories from the CEO. Welcome back. We are still in conversation with Ronald Moyo, the CEO of Scottland Football Club. Let's talk about how you've managed to be a club of manifests. We have seen the MOUs you have signed with the likes of EcoBank, Discovered also coming into the picture. And now we've just heard that you have signed an agreement with the City Council, the Harare City Council, that you're going to be having a partnership in terms of revamping and refurbishing Rufaro Stadium.
We've been attracting, so many corporates, Sakunda Holdings, EcoBank, IMC, most recently Discovery Ambulance, who are actually partnering us in one of our products, which is, the membership. We've got 5 different membership tiers. The first one being Diamond membership. So it's Diamond, Platinum, Gold, Silver, and Bronze. They come with different, different perks, different benefits, depending on the type of membership that one buys. Discovery, they're coming in to offer the medical benefits to our members. So we really appreciate that. It shows that there is something that we are doing right, that as I said earlier on. So these are corporates who are actually interested in the product that we are selling, which is the membership, that we have packaged for our fans to offer them, an increased value proposition, where we've got also the likes of Inbox coming in, providing, the card. So you also mentioned the partnership with City Council. We have engaged City Council for a potential 15-year lease agreement for Rufaro Stadium, where we want to invest in Rufaro Stadium to renovate it to a modern day, facility. So we are having very, very positive, we're getting positive feedback so far. So these are some of the things that we are trying to do as a club, not only to generate revenue for the club, but to bring back football, because we want to be part and parcel, of this revolution of bringing back our football.
When we look into the number of things that you've pioneered as Scotland, especially with you at the helm of the club, we are looking into the first club to have an ambulance of its own, the first club to have probably a living quarters for its players, as it was talked about, the chairman, that you have sites in Rua where players will be camping, and also becoming the first club to have membership. How do you look at it as a legacy that you want to leave for the club?
If you want to have a meaningful and positive impact, in the society, you need to look beyond yourself. You need to look beyond your current generation. So we are bringing all these things. Remember, I said we want to be disruptive, because we want to have a positive impact in Zimbabwean football. The membership that you mentioned is actually the first of its kind in Zimbabwe. Fine, there is a club called Islanders Football Club. They do have membership, but their membership is different. Ours is unique in the sense that we take our members or our fans beyond the sentiment, to offer them an increased value proposition where they can access loans through acquiring our membership, to speak to their self-development. So it's something that for us as a club, we think is going to provoke other clubs to start, increasing value propositions for their supporters and fans. So that on its own is a legacy. No one can erase that history that Scottland FC was the first club to introduce that type of membership, which for me benefits the members more than the club, because if you look at the benefits, they overweigh, the price for the membership. Then you also mentioned, the ambulance. This is also our commitment, to professionalism, because the rules, football require that whenever you're playing a soccer match, there should be at least 2 ambulances, right? And we observed that when it comes to the health of players, these are certain things that probably we take for granted. We've got so many case studies of players who lost their careers because of injuries that could have been avoided. So for us, the player is a key asset. So to make sure that you take care of their health becomes a priority. So it's also something that we think and hope that resources permitting, other clubs will also follow suit. Remember, I'll keep on saying, ours is not only a Scotland FC story. It's a story of Zimbabwean football, where we want to have a positive impact in Zimbabwean football, to inspire change in Zimbabwean football at the end of the day.
In just a few words, what would the CEO of such an exciting club want to let the whole world know in terms of where you want to go, what you are currently working on, and what would definitely be Scotland in maybe the next following years?
Our focus is obviously we should focus on the main product, which is football, and which is the main business in football. So we want to be a club that will be remembered, or that will be known for winning, for achieving sporting success. That's point number 1. A club that will build a sustainable, legacy. A club that will come up with a sustainable business plan at the end of the day, so that we can self-sustain ourselves. We also want to be on sporting success then. We want to be a club that will be renowned for producing great players. We are working on our academy. In Rua, we are already putting up some infrastructure to make sure that our academy functions perfectly. So we want to be that kind of a club. Whilst you are still setting up our academy, we have already, through the networks that we have and our desire to grow our brand beyond the borders, we have already committed ourselves to certain tournaments. For instance, we've got our under-17s who will be competing in Dubai in the Dubai Sevens. We are the only club from Zimbabwe. We'll be competing with teams from all over the world, right? So that is an opportunity that we're exposing young players to competitive environments. We are also taking part in the annual Under 21 Pirates Cup in South Africa during Easter holiday. So this for us is very, very important in the sense that it's part and parcel of developing the key product in football, which is the player. So this is something that we are currently working on. Obviously, we've already mentioned the issue of infrastructure, where we are so committed in infrastructure development. Our own academy, the stadium in Mavuku, and most recently, where we are trying to come in and revamp our Rufaro Stadium. So basically, I think these are things that we are doing. Last but not least, we are also committed to professionalism. Something that I think most clubs are lacking. Thanks to the association through CAF, who are now strict about club licensing, where all the clubs must fulfill certain criteria: the sporting, the legal, the financial, the administrative. So we are committed to that. So we want to be known and remembered as a club that brought professionalism, where we've got professional people manning professional offices. At the end of the day, we think that once we do that, we should be able to achieve what we want to achieve. I know there are people who have already said, there are people who are negative.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are negative where they're saying Scotland FC won't last the distance. We are saying probably they are saying that because previously they saw clubs that were not run professionally, came with all due respect. Probably during those times it was the right way of running the clubs, where clubs were run from the pockets, where the owner of the club was the one who would be paying players, would be doing everything. We are bringing that professionalism, whereby we are making sure that we've got a fully fledged secretariat, for instance, of qualified people, qualified personnel to do the job for this club, so that at the end of the day, it's easier to then transform it to a sustainable business.
From commitment, legacy, growth beyond borders, a commitment to the citizens of Zimbabwe, not only for people in Mavuku. Scotland has a vision, and we were talking to the CEO of the club, Mr. Ronald Moyo. My name is Tendai Span, and thank you for joining us in this week's episode of Scotland Football Magazine.
Shumba,